Right, good afternoon. My name's Billy Quinn, and I've come today to talk about installations and installers and strategies around installations and installers. I've got a little background in that regard. As the Director of Installations at B&Q, you can see there's some ex-B&Q and Kingfishers amongst us. And prior to that at Homebase as the Head of Installations, and prior to that as the National Installer and Manager at MFI. So I'm going to talk about strategies around installers particularly, but strategy in general for KBB. Now in terms of KBB, uniquely, we're reliant on, and installers, tradesmen, craftsmen are critical to what we do. It would be remiss of me in starting not to point out that even though I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy of sourcing good tradesmen and keeping good tradesmen and generally building your business, that there are some people in the audience who were the implementers of some of the thinking and the strategy. And strategy is just some thinking and some words and a plan without the quality of people to deliver that I've had over the years, that some of which are in the audience, then that's all it is. It's just clever thinking and strategies and words. So just like to recognise you as some of the best guys that are out there. And sadly, you're often doing your own bits now, but still, thank you very much. So, normally at the start of a presentation, you're told to turn your phone off. I want you to keep your phones on. And the reason I want you to keep your phones on is because I'm sort of here under false pretense, really. I've got a number of hats on today. So I'm here as the Managing Director of a company called CC UK, which specialises in training for asbestos, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm also the board chair for the Furniture Ombudsman, and the Furniture Ombudsman is the largest ombudsman in the UK, and basically we help businesses improve their standards, and we help to mediate in situations where customers and businesses find themselves in a situation where they need mediation, but I'm not going to talk about that today. So I also, at the end, I'm going to give you something as a gift for free. So you're going to keep your phones on, and I'm going to give you something at the end, and I'm not selling anything. If you want to come in, just move it. I'm only going to be talking for a little while. Come in. So these three things that are not going to happen. You're not going to turn off your phones. I'm not going to impress you with lots and lots of fancy slides that I've taken lots of time to finesse and work with. And I'm not going to sell you anything. What I'm going to try and do is talk about strategies that include stakeholders and people, and particularly a group of people called installers or tradesmen, which are vital to everything that we do. And if you look around at the show that you're at, none of this would be possible without great tradespeople. And I've been very fortunate in my career to work and build strategies that have made advocates of tradespeople and have built large databases of installers. In fact, about 1,200 companies at Home Retail Group from a standing start. We had none when I started there, and about 1,500 at the Kingfisher Group. So this is about how you get to that point, and it's by applying a certain way of thinking, which is not different, but it's inclusive and collaborative, and it includes tradespeople. So I'm going to try and give you an example, and I'm going to try and build it around a shape. So once upon a time, we had a commercial director, a very large, successful business, and what he wanted to do is increase our routes to market through trade. Now, we had a number of businesses that worked with us, thankfully, about 1,500 companies. So his vision was fairly simple. I'm going to make all the trading companies that work with us buy our materials. That way, we'll increase the volumes of materials we sell, we'll increase our profits, and it's an easy win. Now, we tried for about 3 years prior to our team joining to get to this result. So he knew what he wanted. He wanted more tradespeople to buy more products. His route was a straight line, basically. We'd tell them that they have to do it. In fact, we were in a board meeting where he said exactly that. I've told you, you have to tell them that they have to buy our materials. They weren't actually our materials. The materials belong to a whole range of suppliers, well-known suppliers throughout Europe, and the Middle East. However, he couldn't understand why we couldn't contract all these companies and make them do it. And so what we asked him to do was to apply his thinking into a shape. Now, some of you will already do this. A lot of people use triangles. So they say, if this is good for my organisation, and it's good for the business, and it's good for the customer, I can build a strategy on those 3 points. So I'm guessing everyone here has done a certain amount of brainstorming, reverse brainstorming, lean, agile, lots of different processes and methods to produce strategies to move your businesses forward. We asked him to apply a pentathlon. So everyone's looking at me now. It's a Pentagon. I just wanted to see if I got any reaction at all. Remember when you were at school and you were staring out the window and they were talking about shapes? Do you remember that? Some of you were, so there was a pentagon, a hexagon, an octagon. Is anyone with a hoop? So we asked him to apply a shape, a 5-sided shape to the thinking. And against each of the 5 sides, we put a particular group. So we started with the suppliers. We said, well, on this point, we're going to look at it from a supplier-based point of view. What would be good for the suppliers in regard to the audience that we're trying to attract? How could they help us? How could they work with us? What are their frustrations? What sort of products are they having returned? What sort of products do they feel that they should be maximising sales on, but they aren't really coming through? On another corner, we put the BiKBBI. So we said, look, there's an organisation. I've got no link to the BiKBBI. I'm not under a retainer. I don't earn anything from my relationship with the BiKBBI. What I do recognise, though, is there's a shortage of tradespeople in the UK, and it's well versed. Everyone will talk to you about the fact that I can't find good quality tradespeople. But in very few organisations will they talk to you about what their strategy is to try and build advocates, bring in new blood, or work better with the resource that they have. So on another corner, we had installers, tradespeople, installation businesses, and then we worked round to the organisation and finally to the customer. And we said, we're going to build a strategy whereby we include all of this group and we look at how we can get to a place where we get to a win-win situation. I don't even like saying it myself. We get to a win-win situation. Well, actually, it's better than a win-win, because if you do the maths, it's 5 wins. And I won't do that because it sounds very strange. So from a supply base, we went to our suppliers, well-known suppliers, and said, look, we're going to build a strategy where we're going to try and include the installers in terms of building the amount of through of products that we sell to them. What insights do you have? And they had lots of insights, lots of information, lots of data, lots of stuff that we weren't using. And they also said, if you can increase the volumes beyond a certain threshold, then obviously you start to bring in some material benefits, and we can look at margins, and we can look at lots of things, rebates and other. We then went to the BiKBBI. They had a shorter title then, which was easier, I have to say. They were just called the kitchen, bathroom and bedroom installers. But obviously the British bit's important. He had a reason to do it, and he can explain that later to us why that was so important. No, it is important. And we said to him, we want to do a survey with all of the installers that work for the business that we're with. It's a big business. We've got lots of information about what customers need and want, and we've got a fairly good understanding of what the business wants. We don't really understand what the installers want. Now, we do the standard toolbox talks, we do conferences and various elements. What we do know, however, is it's not easy for them to articulate to us the reality of what is really going on, because obviously they're stakeholders. They don't want to upset us. They might not tell us the reality. They give us what we want to hear. So what the Institute did is they went out and did an anonymous survey. So they went to all of our database, which we give them, and they surveyed all the installers, and they asked them what their drivers were, why they work for businesses like ours, what would make them want to work for us more, what sort of products were better, what brands they preferred, why they preferred those brands, were there products that could prevent us from going back to remedials, were there products that customers preferred, were there products that they found difficult, not because they weren't good products, but because there was no communication. They didn't understand, they couldn't get the information about the product across. And that survey was done. So at the end of that survey, and it was anonymous, so they, you know, if they didn't think a particular product was good, they would tell us it wasn't good and there was no aftermath. We gathered that information. We went back to the business, it was fairly clear what they want. We started to look at customer data around what products were being returned particularly, and what products caused them problems, and what products that they wanted. So in the end, what we had is a collation of information that crossed all the different groups. We then said, how can we build a strategy where all of these people, all of these groups, actually get to a point of winning? And I'll skip forward a little bit, but basically we went back with the strategy to the commercial director and the board, and what we laid down was a card, and the card was a special card. It's like a gold card that was given to all companies that wished to work and were contracted to us. Now, we'd already spoke to the suppliers, so we had got the best rates that we could for all these items. We'd spoke to them, so we had a list of all the products they wanted to use. We also had a list of products that would prevent us from returning to customers' houses. So products that were waterproof, products that would stand up to the test of time, so that we could try and ensure that the customer won. If we give the installers better products that were more reliable, then the customer would have a better service. And in the round for this, we got to a place where we truly had a win-win-win situation. The Institute won because basically we had tied them into a business and we'd demonstrated that using an independent expert to communicate with installers and later to help us resource installers and understand what was best for them, to help us commit to certain suppliers and talk to the suppliers and mediate with suppliers directly so that they could communicate about products properly and feed that back into us so they could help us to say, look, this is how you need to communicate. So the Institute won. They got a big brand under there, I won't say the brand, they got a big brand to join the Institute. The installers ended up with something fairly special. They ended up with a gold card, and on this gold card they got the best rates on the best products, and they were the only ones who got it. And the reason they got it is because they worked for us and with us. They won. The customers won because basically we give them good products and they were reliable and we didn't have to go back for as many remedials. We won because we saved money on remedials. Everyone won. Now, in terms of the strategy of SHAPE, for a lot of people when they try and get to a point of strategy, they look at what efficiencies they can drive to make more income or more revenue, or they look at something they want or something that's a problem. And I think that if you get to a point where you include tradespeople and installers in your thinking and in your SHAPE, then you'll get to a very, very different place. Now, this is more important than ever now because we know that the amount of good quality tradespeople in the UK, you know, is not where we'd want it to be. We also know as part of the Institute they're working on an apprenticeship scheme and other things and helping other companies to source. So you have to have strategies which are inclusive to installers. Let me tell you the outcome. The outcome was that for 3 years the commercial director had been saying, I need to be in a position where you're driving more revenue through trades. In the first year, we saw a threefold increase in the amount of products that we sold to trade. In the second year, our 2-year numbers were 6 times. So we went from a situation where he was using a straight line, I want this to happen, force them to do it, to a point where we applied a SHAPE, where we included all the different parties and we looked to how they would be the most engaged and become advocates of what we're doing, how we could get them to join us and work with us, and that was the outcome. Now, if you're sceptical about that, and some people will say, well, this isn't Disney, you know, sometimes you've got to make decisions where you can't please all parties, and that's true. You know, sometimes you have to make decisions where not every single part of your shape can get the outcome that they want. But even then, applying shape as part of your strategy and thinking about the various parties is a winning situation, because what you do then is draw down on all the different times that you've adopted a strategy where you've included the installers, the trades, and you use that as collateral. And the collateral is to say, look, I know in this instance what we're doing hasn't met exactly what you need, or it doesn't bring you forward. But let me show you the other 4 or 5 or 6 times we've done something and included you in a strategy that's actually helped to pull you forward. So what I'd encourage you to do is to think about installation and tradespeople in your strategies. And to do that, and here's part of the sell, I would definitely engage with this group, the British Institution of Kitchen, Bathroom and Bedroom Installers. They are the biggest institution in this sector, and they are specialists at working with installers. And there is currently no other institute of its type. And our industry, the KBB industry, is stronger for having an institute that's going to help us to engage and communicate with this population vastly better than we do today, and it's going to help us to bring new talent through. So that's the shape of strategy. It's about applying a shape and including people, stakeholders, in that shape. This is the bit where you get to use your phones. So I asked you to keep your phones on at the beginning of the presentation. So if you take your phones out, this is what I'd like you to do. So I'd like you to key into your browser BiKBBI. Now, if some of the old-fashioned, if you've got a paper and pen, you can apply the same logic through paper and pen. It shows how things are developing, where you have a presentation that includes phones as opposed to a presentation where you ask people to turn their technology off. We all know now that if people turn their technology off, they become very distracted, and therefore they're going to drift after 10 or 15 minutes. So we're trying to get a presentation where you're actually in. So you all should have done that by now. The second thing I'd like you to put into your browser is this. It's the Furniture Makers Charity. Now, I said at the beginning I'm wearing a number of hats today. So one of the hats is the Managing Director of Central Compliance UK, which is a specialist asbestos training provider, and I'm also the chair of the board of the Furniture Ombudsman. But I'm also, look at me also. This is not me larging myself. I'm a very small guy. That was on. That's a bit. What am I thinking of there? I've distracted there. I'm thinking of the guys in the jungle. What's it? Declan, isn't he? He's a very Dennis Wise, very small man. Right, back to where we were. So, the Furniture Makers Charity is a charity that's based from the city liveries. So it's one of the 100 city livery companies. Now, the city liveries produce about £40 million for charity each year, and I'm the fundraising chair for the fundraising committee of the Furniture Makers. Now, this is the bit where you get something to take away with you. The Furniture Makers Charity give money every year to people who have worked in the industry. It's largely why I'm involved. So, for example, a lady that we helped recently was a salesperson. She'd been a salesperson all her life. Her daughter also was a salesperson. They worked in a shop. She retired. Her daughter sadly was made redundant. They fell behind in terms of their bills. The central heating broke. This is the sort of thing that happens. And basically they come forward to the charity, and the charity helped them, did the repair, helped them get back on the feet and helped them catch up. This is the Furniture Makers Charity. It's your charity. For the KBB industry, it's the charity that supports our industry. And if you go onto their website, Furniture Makers Charity, you'll find there's a poster, and a poster is a helping poster, and it's designed to be put into canteens. So if you're part of a small business of any size or any organisation, then you can put this poster into your canteen, and if someone finds themselves in a situation where they need help, this is one of the points of help that they can go to. So there's a gift. I would take that away with you. I think broadly it's about £1 million a year that's raised and given either to education or to welfare or good causes. So take that away. And that means that I've actually done something other than sort of turn up today and do my presentation. So in summary, I want to start by thanking the BiKBBI for inviting me to come along and talk today about installers and tradespeople. Thank you guys for coming along as well. It's very brave of Damien, because they asked whether you'd submit some slides. Will you send the slides in that you're gonna present? And I sent nothing in whatsoever and said, look, it's half an hour, I can talk for half an hour, I don't need any slides. And some people would have said, oh no, we can't do that. So, because obviously you had no regulation of what I might say. So thank you very much for being brave enough to get me to come in and talk. I know to a large extent, looking across some of the people in the crowd, I know that you're already advocates of including installers into the thinking of how we build the KBB industry. A strong British institute of kitchen and bathroom and bedroom installers is great for the industry. It's what our industry needs. And ultimately, if we're going to fill this gap of quality tradespeople, and if you look around at this show, it's tremendous, a tremendous sort of testament to the industry and some of the innovation in the industry. But none of this would have been possible without people to come in and build it correctly. And so we should be backing Damien and backing this organisation. So, and that is me. So unless you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.